If you have found this message today, let me tell you something with complete certainty. It is not simply the algorithm, and it is not just a random moment that happened to appear in front of you. There is a reason you are hearing these words now. It is as if the universe is answering the quiet question that your soul has been carrying for so long. Somewhere deep inside that part of your heart where doubt slowly began to grow, there was something you were meant to hear. Something you needed to understand before your uncertainty became strong enough to make you give up. This message has reached you because the time has come. I know you have been silent. I know you have been trying to continue your life as if everything has already ended. You have been trying to convince yourself that you have moved forward, that you have accepted what happened, and that you no longer need an answer. But deep inside, there is still a question that keeps coming back. It is a question that disturbs your peace no matter how hard you try to push it away. You may stay busy, talk to other people, focus on your work, or try to distract your mind. But when everything becomes quiet, the same question returns. What is the future of this connection? What is really happening between you and this person? Is this story truly finished, or is there something still waiting to unfold? The answer is not something you can force with your mind. It is something that can only become clear through the divine plan. And that answer is beginning to arrive now, with a clarity that you may no longer be able to ignore. Stop telling yourself that you are exaggerating what you feel. Stop convincing yourself that the intensity inside your heart is only imagination. You are not imagining everything. You are not loving without purpose, and you are not necessarily loving alone. The connection between you and this person feels real to you because it has touched something deeper than ordinary attraction. It is not simply a temporary desire that appeared one day and disappeared the next. It carries a meaning that you have struggled to explain. The most important message for you today is simple. Do not give up too quickly. You may be standing much closer to a change than you realize. You may be standing at the edge of a manifestation that has been slowly preparing itself for both of you for a very long time. You cannot see everything that is happening behind the scenes. You cannot measure every change taking place in another person's heart. There may be emotional shifts, realizations, memories, fears, and private thoughts that you know nothing about. Yet something inside you continues to tell you that this story is not completely finished. That feeling that something is about to change is not something you should immediately dismiss. The way this story refuses to leave your heart matters to you. The way their name continues to appear in your thoughts matters to you. The way you feel pulled back toward the memory of them again and again matters to you. You may have tried to call it obsession. You may have called it attachment. You may have even told yourself that you are simply unable to let go. But sometimes the heart continues to hold a story because there are still emotions that have not been fully understood. Sometimes silence does not mean that everything has disappeared. Sometimes distance creates a space where both people are forced to face feelings they avoided while they were together. So do not immediately assume that distance means failure. Do not automatically believe that silence means rejection. Do not think that time has erased everything. Some connections leave an impression that remains long after the physical relationship has changed. The first important step for you today is to stop seeing distance only as a loss. Physical distance can make you feel separated, but emotional experiences do not disappear simply because two people are no longer standing beside each other. The memories remain. The lessons remain. The questions remain. The feelings can remain as well. You may be wondering whether this person also feels the emptiness that you feel. You may wonder if they notice your absence, or if they have simply moved forward without looking back. The truth is that you cannot know every private thought inside another person's mind. But you can recognize that people often hide emotions when those emotions are difficult for them to face. Someone can appear calm while struggling internally. Someone can act distant while still remembering deeply. Someone can say very little while carrying many thoughts that they do not know how to express. This is why you should not measure the entire connection only by what you can see on the outside. The outside world gives you pieces of information, but it does not always reveal the full emotional story. A person may turn away because they are afraid. They may hide because they do not know what to say. They may avoid contact because they fear what will happen if they open the door again. None of this automatically proves what they feel, but it does remind you that human emotions are often much more complicated than simple words or actions. The universe sees what the human heart tries to hide, and your own inner world may be asking you to slow down and understand what this experience is teaching you. So do not give up on something simply because the path has become difficult. Do not decide that the entire meaning of this connection disappeared just because you cannot see the next step. This love, or this deep emotional bond you feel, has changed something inside you. It has brought emotions to the surface that you may never have faced before. It has shown you where you fear losing control. It has shown you how strongly you can care. It has shown you what happens when your heart wants an answer, but life gives you silence instead. There is a lesson in that silence. There is a reason you are being asked to trust yourself without becoming consumed by uncertainty. In the moments ahead, you may begin to notice signs that help you understand what is happening within you. But before you search for signs outside yourself, you must first understand what is happening in your own inner world. The key to moving forward is not always what you do on the outside. Sometimes it begins with the certainty you build inside yourself. Stay steady, not because you are impatiently waiting for another person to return, but because you are learning to trust your own path. Trust that what truly belongs in your life will reveal itself in the right way. Trust that what is meant for you will not require you to destroy your peace just to keep it alive. And trust that sometimes the greatest changes begin quietly, long before they become visible. Listen to your intuition, but also listen with wisdom. There is a soft and persistent feeling inside you that keeps saying the story is not as simple as it appears. That feeling may be important, but you should not allow it to become fear or desperation. Let it guide you toward awareness instead of anxiety. Let it remind you that you do not need to force an answer today. You do not need to chase someone to prove that the connection mattered. You do not need to beg for attention to make your feelings valid. Your emotions are real because you experienced them. Your memories are real because they happened. And whatever the future holds, you can move toward it with dignity, patience, and a calm heart. Know that someone can truly care about you and still struggle to show it. Someone may think about you far more often than they ever admit. Someone may remember small details that you assumed they forgot. Someone may suddenly hear a song, see a place, read a message, or experience a familiar moment that brings your memory back into their mind. People are complicated. Feelings are complicated. Sometimes the heart understands something long before the person is ready to speak about it. And this is only the beginning of what you are being asked to understand. If you are ready to accept this message, leave a heart in the comments. Let that small action be a reminder to yourself that you are choosing awareness instead of fear. You are choosing to listen to what your heart is saying while still protecting your peace. You are choosing not to let one period of silence convince you that your entire story has no meaning. Now that you recognize the truth of your own intuition, it is time to move from doubt into understanding and from understanding into awareness of the invisible emotional world that surrounds every human connection. Despite the silence, despite the distance, and despite everything that has happened, you are not walking through this experience without learning something. The intensity you feel is not meaningless simply because you cannot explain it. Something inside you has been touched deeply, and that is why it has been so difficult to forget. If life brought two people together, crossed their paths, and created feelings that neither person expected, there is often a lesson hidden inside that experience. It does not mean you should stop living your life or wait forever. It means you should understand what the connection has awakened inside you. Maybe you have felt that this bond demands more from you than you receive. Maybe you have wondered why you seem to care so much while the other person appears quiet. Maybe you have looked at their distance and concluded that everything is fading. But what you see may only be one part of the story. Your perception is shaped by what you know right now, and you do not know everything happening in another person's emotional world. You are being guided toward patience, toward self-respect, and toward a deeper understanding of your own feelings. The universe would never need you to destroy yourself in order to prove that you love someone. Real love does not require you to abandon your identity. It does not require you to lose your peace every day. If this connection has meaning, that meaning should also help you grow. When your heart returns again and again to the same person, it may be because there are emotions that still need to be processed. It may be because there are memories that still carry weight. It may be because you have not yet accepted what the experience taught you. And sometimes it may be because your heart is still hoping for another chapter. Whatever the reason, do not punish yourself for feeling deeply. Ask yourself this: why does this story continue to live inside you? Why does their name refuse to completely disappear? Why does one memory sometimes bring back an entire wave of emotion? Why does this connection still feel alive, even after so much silence? There may be no simple answer. Perhaps the answer is that something inside you is still unfinished. Perhaps there are words that were never spoken. Perhaps there was closure that never arrived. Perhaps the relationship changed you in a way that cannot be undone. And perhaps the future will reveal something you cannot see today. You do not have to force that answer. You only need to remain open to understanding. The feeling inside you that refuses to completely let go is not automatically weakness. Sometimes it is simply your heart trying to process something important. There is a huge difference between what your eyes see and what your inner world understands. Your eyes see the surface. They see a person who appears distant, cold, quiet, or uninterested. They see a lack of messages. They see the space between you. But the human heart is much more complicated than what appears on the surface. A person can carry emotions while behaving in ways that confuse you. A person can feel something and still be too afraid to express it. Love like this does not always express itself clearly. Sometimes it hides. Sometimes it becomes quiet. Sometimes it freezes because fear becomes stronger than courage. Sometimes a person protects their heart by creating distance. Sometimes they are afraid of rejection. Sometimes they fear being vulnerable. Sometimes they do not know whether returning would make things better or worse. And sometimes they simply need time to understand what they truly want. Fear can make people silent. Fear can make people appear detached, even when their inner world is full of thoughts and emotions. They may think about you more often than they would ever admit. They may notice your absence more than you realize. They may remember your voice, your expressions, the way you looked at them, or a simple moment that you believed was insignificant. They may come across an old photograph and suddenly feel something they thought they had already buried. They may read an old message and remember exactly how they felt at that time. They may hear a familiar song and connect it with you without even trying. They may visit a familiar place and remember what happened there. These small moments can bring old emotions back to the surface, and even if you believe they have completely moved on, you cannot truly know everything happening inside them. If you think you meant nothing to them, do not automatically accept that conclusion as fact. If you think they have forgotten you completely, remember that people do not always forget experiences that deeply affected them. Some feelings change shape instead of disappearing. Some memories become quieter, but never completely lose their meaning. Certain people remain connected to important chapters of our lives because of what we learned through them. There may be moments when they stop whatever they are doing because something unexpectedly reminds them of you. It could be a familiar place, a phrase, a song, a picture, a date, or even a simple daily event. They may not tell anyone about it. They may not even fully understand why the memory returned. But memories can appear without permission. The mind stores emotional experiences in ways that can remain powerful for years. This is why you should not judge the entire story by one moment of silence. But now, let us talk about something more real. How can you know whether this connection is still active in your own emotional world right now? How does the absence of someone show up in your thoughts, your emotions, and even in the way your body reacts to certain memories? The first important sign is not some magical event outside of you. It is the emotional response that appears when you think about this person. You may suddenly feel your mood change. You may remember details you thought you had forgotten. You may feel a wave of sadness, warmth, hope, or longing. These reactions tell you that the experience still has emotional weight inside you. And there is another possibility you should understand. This person may not be distant simply because they do not care. They may be distant because the depth of their own emotions makes them uncomfortable. Some people love deeply but do not know how to handle emotional intensity. Some people freeze when they feel vulnerable. Some people become quiet because speaking would force them to admit something they are not ready to face. They may need time to understand themselves before they can understand what they want from another person. Some souls, as you may feel it, love so deeply that they pause. They hesitate. They step back. They become silent. Not every silence means the same thing. Silence can mean rejection, but it can also mean confusion, fear, emotional exhaustion, or the need for space. That is why you should never build your entire future around assumptions. Instead, allow the situation to unfold while you continue living your own life. Do not stop growing. Do not stop becoming stronger. Do not stop creating a life that makes you proud. The most powerful thing you can do now is to remain grounded. You can believe that something meaningful happened without becoming trapped in waiting. You can honor your feelings without allowing them to control every decision. You can hope for a future with someone while still accepting that the future must be revealed through real actions, honest communication, and mutual effort. If this person is truly meant to return, their actions will eventually need to speak. And if a new chapter is meant to begin, it should bring more clarity than confusion. So for now, breathe. Let your heart become quiet. You do not need to chase an answer. You do not need to force a reunion. You do not need to prove your value. You are allowed to step back and let life show you what words cannot yet explain. What you feel matters, but so does your peace. Your heart can remain open without remaining helpless. You can love someone and still choose yourself. You can believe in a connection and still refuse to live inside uncertainty forever. Maybe this period of distance is teaching both people something. Maybe it is teaching you patience. Maybe it is teaching them courage. Maybe it is helping both of you understand what you truly want. Maybe the silence is giving each person space to see what they could not see while emotions were overwhelming. And if there is another chapter, it will come through a healthier form of communication, greater honesty, and a willingness from both sides to face what was previously avoided. The story is not necessarily over simply because you cannot see what comes next. Sometimes the quietest chapters prepare the most important changes. Sometimes the heart needs time before the mind catches up. Sometimes people need to lose the comfort of someone's presence before they understand the value of that presence. And sometimes you need distance from another person before you can clearly see what you actually deserve. So do not give up on yourself while wondering whether someone else will return. That is the most important part of this entire message. Your life cannot be placed on pause while you wait for another person to make a decision. Continue growing, continue healing, continue building your confidence. Continue becoming the person you were always meant to become. If this connection is meant to continue, you will meet it as a stronger version of yourself. And if life leads you somewhere else, you will still be ready for something that matches your worth. The feeling may still be there, the memories may still be there, the questions may still be there. But you are not the same person you were when this story began. You have learned. You have changed. You have become more aware of your own heart. And perhaps that is exactly why this message reached you today. Not to make you chase someone, but to remind you that you are allowed to believe in love without losing yourself inside it. There is still much you cannot see. There are conversations that may never happen, thoughts you may never hear, and emotions that another person may never openly reveal. But you do not need access to every hidden thought in order to know your own truth. You know what you felt. You know what this connection awakened in you. You know that it mattered. And now you have a choice. You can allow uncertainty to control you, or you can allow trust and self-respect to guide you. The next chapter will reveal itself through reality, through actions, through communication, through consistency, through the way two people choose to show up when the opportunity arrives. Until then, do not confuse silence with the final answer. Do not confuse distance with the complete end of a story. But at the same time, do not confuse hope with certainty. Let life reveal the truth naturally. Keep your heart open, but keep your feet on the ground. What is meant to remain will find a way to become clear. What is meant to return will have to return through real effort. What is meant to grow will need both hearts to participate. And what is meant to teach you will leave you stronger, wiser, and more aware of your own value. So take this moment as a reminder. You are not required to give up your peace just because you do not have all the answers yet. You are not required to understand the entire journey today. There are moments when life becomes quiet before something becomes clear. There are moments when a connection seems to disappear only because both people are being forced to look inward. And there are moments when the heart knows something important before the outside world has any evidence to show. Maybe you are in one of those moments now. Maybe the answer is closer than you think. Maybe the next sign will not come through a dramatic event, but through a simple conversation, an unexpected message, a new realization, or a sudden feeling of peace. Until that moment arrives, stay steady, stay open, stay grounded. Do not let fear tell you that everything is over. Do not let impatience make you chase something that needs time. And do not let silence convince you that your feelings had no meaning. Sometimes the deepest emotional lessons happen in the spaces where nothing seems to be happening at all. Something can be changing inside you, even when nothing appears to be changing around you. Your heart has carried this question for a long time. Now allow yourself to breathe while the answer unfolds. You do not have to force destiny. You do not have to control another person's choices. You only need to control the way you care for yourself while life reveals what comes next. If this connection is truly meant to continue, let it return with honesty, courage, and mutual effort. And if it is meant to take another direction, trust that you will not lose yourself in the process.